The sky above Zyronine was a swirl of violet and silver, with twin moons casting cold, pale light over the jagged cliffs. Kale, a human explorer, crouched behind a cluster of jagged rocks, his breath visible in the thin alien air. He had traveled light-years across unknown space, but nothing had prepared him for the Valari, the mysterious species that had haunted human legends for centuries. Stories said they were dangerous, untouchable, and beyond comprehension. Yet Kale, stubborn as humans always were, had to see them for himself. He wanted proof that humans, despite being small and fragile in the galaxy, could still confront the unknown without fear. From a distance, he spotted movement. A lone figure, delicate yet powerful, crouched by a shimmering pool of water. Her silver skin glinted under the moonlight, reflecting like liquid metal. Long, flowing hair shimmered with strands of gold, and her eyes golden, piercing, and full. A fire scanned the cliffs around her as if she could sense every hidden danger. Kale's heart pounded. Humans often thought aliens were always stronger, faster, smarter, but there was something about her presence, something alive and vulnerable, made him think differently. He stepped closer, careful not to make a sound. Each footstep on the rocky surface felt loud, echoing across the cliffs. She turned her head sharply, and their eyes met. It was as if the air itself had thickened. Kale felt an unusual pull in his chest. He had encountered danger before, but nothing like this. Her gaze was not just anger, it was a mixture of fear, pain, and something he couldn't describe. "Stay back," she warned, her voice both beautiful and sharp, cutting through the silence. Kale froze. The words, though foreign, carried a weight of urgency. There was no room for hesitation here. He raised his hands slowly, palms open, showing that he meant no harm. I just want to help," he said softly, hoping she could understand. The Valeri's eyes flickered to her wrist, where a thin line of crimson blood glowed faintly on her silver skin. Kale felt a shiver run down his spine. This was no ordinary wound. He could sense it, almost instinctively. Humans often thought themselves brave, but Kale knew true courage wasn't about recklessness. It was about choosing to act even when fear clawed at your chest. "No, my blood, human," she cried suddenly, a sound full of alarm and desperation. "You don't know what it can do. If you touch it, if you drink it, you might never survive." Kale hesitated, staring at her trembling fingers. He had heard of the Valari's blood before, in old human reports and fragmented legends. It was said to be sacred, dangerous, even mystical. But seeing it so close, so real, made him feel a strange pull he could not resist. He wanted to understand it, to connect with it, and maybe, just maybe, prove that humans could endure what others could not. Her golden eyes widened as she noticed him inching closer. "No, stop, don't." Her voice cracked, revealing the first true hint of fear. "You cannot survive it. Humans are weak. You'll break. You'll feel things you cannot handle, and it will destroy you." Kale stopped, hands hovering just above the wound, trembling slightly. But inside him, something stronger than fear stirred. Humans had always survived against famine, war, and death itself. This was just another test. Maybe the galaxy considered humans fragile, small, and insignificant. But Kale felt a fire inside him that no alien warning could extinguish. "I have to try," he whispered, more to himself than to her. The words carried an odd courage, a stubborn determination that humans had always possessed in the face of overwhelming odds. He felt it now, deep in his chest, a defiance that refused to bow to fear. The Valeri's expression shifted from fear to disbelief. She took a cautious step back, as if distance could somehow protect him. "I warned you. You don't know what you are doing. My blood, it will change you. You may not survive it. You may never be the same." Kale's eyes locked with hers. In that moment, under the twin moons, and over the cliffs of Zyronine, he made a choice. Not because he was reckless, not because he did not fear, but because being human meant taking risks, facing the unknown, and daring to connect with something beyond understanding. His hand inched forward, trembling, reaching toward the glowing wound. He did not yet know what he would feel. He did not yet know how it would change him. But Kale, the human, was ready to find out. Kale's hand hovered just above the thin line of glowing blood, his heart hammering like a drum in his chest. The Valari woman's golden eyes widened in terror, and her body trembled. "No, my blood, human. You don't understand what it is," she shouted, her voice breaking with fear and anger. "It's not just blood, it's a part of me. If you take it, if you drink it, you'll feel everything, and it could destroy you." Kale paused, feeling the weight of her words pressing into his mind like a physical force. His instincts screamed to stop, to step back, but something deeper pulled him forward. Humans were not meant to be the strongest, but they were survivors. They had endured countless impossible situations, fought against odds that seemed insurmountable, and still risen. That stubborn resilience burned inside him now. He knew he could survive, even if he didn't yet understand how. I have too, Kale said, his voice soft but determined. "I want to understand. I want to know who you are, what you are. I need to see it for myself." The Valari's eyes softened for a brief second, and a hint of sadness flashed across her face. "You're human," she whispered, almost to herself. "You're weak, fragile. Yet here you are, daring to reach for what no human has ever touched." Her voice trembled, caught between awe and terror. "Do you even know what you are? Asking my blood carries memories, emotions, strength, and pain. If you drink it, you will not just see the world through my eyes, you will feel it. You might not survive the weight of it." Kale swallowed hard, his throat dry, but he did not step back. "I know the risk," he admitted, "but I also know humans don't give up. We endure. We face fear, not because we are fearless, but because we refuse to bow to it." The Valari shook her head violently. "Endurance is not enough. Humans cannot handle what is inside me. You might think you are strong, but you are not ready. You could break, completely, your mind, your heart. They could shatter, and there would be no coming back." Her hands rose in warning, her silver fingers trembling. "Please, just leave. Turn away, before it's too late." Kale's eyes stayed locked on hers. He could feel a strange pull, a vibration in the air around them, like the universe itself was holding its breath. He could sense the fear in her, the desperation, but also something else, a deep longing, a wish for connection. Humans thrived on connection. It was in their nature to reach out, to try, to touch what was forbidden, and somehow survive. He took a slow breath and let it steady him. "I don't want to harm you," Kale said quietly. "I want to understand you, and maybe, in doing so, help. I don't know how yet, but I have to try." The Valari's golden eyes glimmered with unshed tears. "No human has ever survived it," she whispered. "They falter, they break, they scream and regret. But you are still here, still, daring, that is, human pride, dangerous, foolish pride." Kale stepped closer, carefully, gently, feeling the strange warmth that radiated from her wound. He sensed her heartbeat, fast and erratic, and it called to something in him, an instinct older than thought itself. Humans survived because they dared to act, to face pain, and to embrace risk. He could not deny it, could not step back. Her voice shook now, almost a whisper. "If you drink it, if you truly take it in, you will feel things you cannot explain. Pain, joy, memories, anger, love, all at once. It will overwhelm you. And yet," she trailed off, looking at him with eyes that mixed fear and wonder, maybe one human could survive it. Kale nodded. He didn't fully understand what she meant, but he felt the truth of it. Humans had always been underestimated. Across countless worlds, they had survived famine, war, betrayal, and the unimaginable. They adapted, they endured. And now, here, in the cold light of Xyranine's moons, Kale understood that survival was not just physical, it was mental, emotional, and stubborn in spirit. He lifted his trembling hand toward the thin line of silver and red. The Valari gasped, her body tensing like a bowstring pulled to its limit. "Kale, don't," she cried, her voice breaking. He looked into her golden eyes and whispered, "I am human, and humans face the impossible." Her fear deepened, but something softened to a tiny spark of hope, fragile and flickering. She didn't move to stop him. Kale could feel it. The moment had come. Whatever happened next, humans would not falter. He was about to cross a boundary no human had ever crossed before, and as his fingers brushed the glowing blood, the air itself seemed to vibrate, holding its breath in anticipation. Kale's fingers trembled as they brushed against the thin line of glowing blood. The moment it touched his skin, a shiver ran through him, sharp, electric, and overwhelming. The Valari woman gasped, her golden eyes wide with fear and disbelief. "No, you don't understand. You can't survive this," she cried, voice breaking. But Kale did not pull back. The blood shimmered against his skin, warm and alive, almost as if it had a heartbeat of its own. He felt it calling him, inviting him, and against every instinct of self-preservation, he brought it to his lips. The instant it entered his mouth, the world shifted. Pain exploded through him like a wave crashing on rocks. It was everywhere, his bones, his muscles, his chest. But beneath the pain, there was fire, an energy unlike anything he had ever felt. Kale staggered back, gasping, gripping a jagged rock for support. His vision blurred, and for a moment, the stars themselves seemed to dance before his eyes. Memories flooded him, not his own, but hers. Battles he had never fought, victories and losses, laughter and tears he had never known. Emotions crashed over him like tidal waves. Fear, joy, grief, anger, love. It was overwhelming, but strangely beautiful. The Valari woman watched him, her face pale with fear and awe. "I told you," she whispered, her voice shaking. "You're human. You weren't meant for this." Kale's body shook violently, and he fell to his knees. Every nerve felt alive, buzzing, singing in a language he could barely comprehend. He saw flashes of her past, her family, her planet's skies, the war she had fought to survive. He felt the pain of losses he could never repair, the weight of responsibility she carried. It was unbearable, and yet, within the storm, a calm emerged. He realized something fundamental. Humans survived because they refused to break completely. Pain could crush them, fear could paralyze them, but their spirit, indomitable, stubborn, unyielding, kept them upright. He focused on that spark inside him, the core of human endurance, and clung to it like a lifeline. The Valera's voice softened. You feel it, don't you?" she asked, almost a whisper. "The link, the connection. No one has ever survived it. Not one human." Kale's chest heaved, tears welling in his eyes. He could feel her thoughts intertwining with his own. The pain, the loneliness, the hope she had hidden behind a mask of pride. He could sense her heartbeat, her breathing, the subtle tension of her body. And through it all, he realized something extraordinary: he could endure it. He could not only survive, but understand. Humans had a way of turning impossibility into strength. I feel it," Kale whispered. His voice was raw, trembling with awe and emotion. "Everything. I can feel everything. But I won't break. I won't let it destroy me." The Valera's golden eyes softened, a mixture of disbelief and admiration. She stepped closer, cautiously, as if the slightest movement could shatter the fragile miracle happening before her. "You survived," she said, almost reverently. I didn't think it was possible. Humans, you're different. You endure. You adapt. You rise when others would fall. Kale took a deep, shaky breath, letting the sensations wash over him. He could feel the history of her people, their triumphs, their losses, their fears. He felt the depth of her heart and the strength it took to survive. And in that connection, he discovered a new kind of power, not strength of muscle, but of spirit. Humans had always underestimated themselves, but here, facing the unknown, Kale realized just how formidable they could be. I understand, he said finally, his voice steadying. I understand you, and I understand that humans can survive the impossible. That's who we are. We endure, no matter what tries to break us. The Valari stepped closer, hand trembling as she brushed against his arm. You are not like any human I have ever known, she murmured. You carry something rare, something extraordinary. I never thought anyone could endure it. Kale smiled faintly, feeling the warmth of a bond forming that transcended words or species. Pain, fear, uncertainty, they existed, but they no longer ruled him. For the first time, he understood that survival was more than physical, light was mental, emotional, and deeply human. And as he knelt there, under the twin moons of Zyronine, Kale knew one undeniable truth. Humans, though small and fragile in the eyes of the universe, had a resilience no alien could fully comprehend. He was human, and that, he realized, was more than enough. The twin moons of Zyronine hung low in the sky, casting a soft, silvery glow over the jagged cliffs. Kale sat on the cold rock, still trembling slightly from the rush of sensations the Valari blood had unleashed. He could feel it pulsing inside him, alive and vibrant, carrying the essence of the alien woman before him. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought of hers seemed to ripple through him. He had never felt anything like it. Humans were not supposed to handle this, and yet, somehow, he did. The Valari woman watched him warily, her golden eyes flickering between fear and awe. You feel it, don't you? She whispered. Her voice trembled, almost afraid to speak aloud. The connection. It's more than blood. It's memories, emotions, the very essence of who I am. No human has ever survived it, yet here you are, awake, present, whole. Kale nodded slowly, still catching his breath. He felt her joy, her pain, and her loneliness all at once. He could see flashes of her past, her struggles, the victories and losses that had shaped her. He felt her fears, the constant vigilance, the tension in every muscle, the weight of expectation placed upon her by her people. And in the midst of it all, he felt something extraordinary. Trust. She was letting him in. I can feel you, Kale admitted softly, his voice trembling. Not just your blood, but your thoughts, your fears, even your hopes. It's overwhelming, but I don't want it to stop. I want to understand you. The Valeri's lips parted slightly, as if words were failing her. She had never expected a human to survive the experience, let alone embrace it willingly. I don't know how this is possible, she whispered. No human has ever endured the weight of another's life like this. Most falter, most break. You are different. Kale smiled faintly, though he could feel tears welling in his eyes. Humans endure, he said quietly. We survive, even when we don't fully understand what's happening. Even when the pain is unbearable, we hold on. It's what we do. The Valari blinked, her expression softening. Survive, yes, but you are more than survival. You are understanding. You feel me, yet you do not lose yourself. You take it in and still remain whole. How? Kale shrugged, unsure of how to explain the depth of his feelings. Maybe it's stubbornness, he said with a faint laugh, trying to lighten the tension. Or maybe humans are just wired to rise when everything tries to break them. I don't know exactly why, but I know it's who we are. A small, Almost imperceptible smile appeared on the Valari's lips. She stepped closer, her movements cautious, as if the slightest touch might shatter this fragile bond. "It's strange," she admitted. "I've felt many beings, many connections, but never like this. You are not like anyone else. And yet, I feel safe." Kale's heart tightened at her words. Safety was not something humans often felt in the vast, cold expanse of space. Yet here, on this jagged cliff, he felt it too. He felt the warmth of trust radiating from her, mixing with the surge of energy in his own veins. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced, intense, fragile, and beautiful. They sat in silence for a while. The only sounds the whisper of the wind and the distant crash of waves far below. Kale could sense her thoughts, her memories, her laughter, and even her sadness. And she, in turn, seemed to sense him not just his presence, but his heart, his determination, and the quiet strength that humans carried within them. "You are remarkable," she finally said, voice soft, almost a whisper. "I never imagined a human could connect like this, could endure what you have. There is something in you, something rare." Kale looked at her, his golden brown eyes meeting her shimmering ones. "No," he said softly, shaking his head. "Humans are not perfect. We break sometimes. We fear. We fail. But we also endure. We rise. And, sometimes, we connect in ways no one else can." Her eyes glimmered under the moonlight, and for the first time Kale saw not fear or doubt, but awe and curiosity. In that moment, under the twin moons, human and Valari were no longer separate beings. They were connected, sharing a bond that transcended species, logic, and expectation. And Kale knew, deep in his heart, that this connection was only the beginning. Together, they would face whatever the galaxy held, stronger, braver, and united in a way neither had ever imagined. Kale and the Valari woman had begun to feel a fragile calm under the twin moons of Zyranine, their bond strengthened by the shared experience of blood and trust. But peace on Zyranine was a fleeting illusion. From the shadows of the jagged cliffs came a low, rumbling hump, the sound of Valari patrols, hunting for their missing comrade. Kale's body tensed instantly, instincts sharpening. Humans had always survived danger, not by avoiding it, but by facing it with courage and quick thinking. The woman's golden eyes widened in alarm. "They're here," she whispered, voice tight with fear. Her body shifted, muscles coiled like a predator ready to spring. "They will not understand. They will see you, see this connection, and attack." Kale placed a hand gently on her arm, feeling the familiar pulse of her blood within him. "Then we fight together," he said, voice steady, despite the rush of adrenaline. "We survive, we endure, we adapt. That's what humans do." Her gaze softened, a mix of disbelief and hope. "You really mean it? You would fight alongside me?" Kale nodded. "I'm human, and humans rise when faced with impossible odds. You've seen that now?" The first of the Valari warriors appeared on the cliff edge, their silver armor glinting under the moons. Kale could sense their tension, their readiness for violence. They saw him and the woman together, a strange human and a Valari, connected in a way they could not understand. Their faces twisted with confusion, suspicion, and aggression. The Valari woman stepped forward, her body tense with defensive power. "Stay back," she shouted, hands glowing with alien energy. "He is not your enemy. He is." The warriors did not wait to hear more. With a flash of movement, they charged, weapons drawn, eyes locked on Kale. The human's heart pounded, but fear did not dominate him. Instead, he felt the rush of the bond he now shared with her. The connection that gave him insight into her movements, her strength, her thoughts. He felt her fear, but also her trust. And he realized, together, they could face anything. Kale moved instinctively, stepping into the rhythm of her body, matching her motions. The first warrior lunged, and Kale sidestepped, using a combination of human agility and intuition drawn from the Valari bond. He could feel her energy flowing into him, guiding him, strengthening him. Humans were not supposed to match Valari in speed or power, yet here he was, keeping pace, adapting, surviving. The second warrior came from the left, and Kale raised his hand, sensing the woman's intention before she even moved. Together, they acted in perfect synchronization. She struck, he dodged, she defended, he countered. It was more than teamwork, it was unity, a single force born of trust, courage, and connection. The patrol hesitated, confusion and awe rippling across their faces. They had never seen a human endure the power of a Valari, never seen one act in perfect harmony with one of their own. Their attacks became uncoordinated, defensive, unsure. Kale felt every heartbeat, every thought of the warriors. He felt their fear, their uncertainty, and he understood something remarkable: humans could inspire even the fiercest beings in the galaxy. Not by raw strength alone, but by courage, determination, and spirit. A wave of energy surged from the woman, and Kale felt it amplify within him. The warrior stumbled, their formation broken. Kale seized the moment, using their confusion to push them back further. The bond between them pulsed stronger than ever, a living connection of trust, courage, and human resilience. Finally, the Valari patrol retreated, unwilling to risk confrontation with a force they could not comprehend. Kale sank to his knees, exhausted but alive. He could still feel the echo of her memories, the tremor of her fear, and the warmth of trust radiating toward him. The woman knelt beside him, brushing a strand of silver hair from his face. "You survived," she whispered, voice trembling. "I didn't think any human could. I never imagined." Her golden eyes glimmered with awe and gratitude. Kale smiled faintly, still breathing heavily. "We survived," he said, voice firm. "Humans endure, and when we connect with others, even in ways no one expects, we rise stronger." For a long moment, they simply sat together, the twin moons shining down on them. In the midst of danger, of fear, and uncertainty, Kale realized something profound. Humans were more than fragile beings. They were resilient, adaptable, courageous, and capable of bonds that even the most advanced alien civilizations could not fully understand. The threat had passed, but the bond had grown stronger. Kale and the Valari woman had faced the impossible. Together and survived, and in that survival, a new truth became clear. Humans were not just survivors of the universe, they were a force to be reckoned with, even among the stars. The first light of Zuranine's dawn crept across the jagged cliffs, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Kale sat beside the Valari woman, still feeling the pulse of her blood within him. The adrenaline of the night's encounter had faded, replaced by a strange, comforting warmth. He had survived, not just the danger, but the bond, the intensity, and the unknown power flowing through him. And for the first time, he understood something that humans had always carried quietly within themselves: endurance, resilience, and courage that refused to be broken. The Valari woman's golden eyes met his, glimmering with awe. You really survived it," she whispered. Her voice trembled with emotion, a mixture of fear, respect, and disbelief. I didn't think it was possible for a human to endure what I carry. I never imagined." She trailed off, struggling to find words that could capture the miracle she had witnessed. Kale shook his head gently, still catching his breath. "It wasn't a miracle," he said softly. "Humans survive because we have to. We endure, even when everything seems impossible. We rise when others would fall. That's what makes us human." The Valari's lips parted slightly, a soft exhale escaping her. "I can feel it," she admitted. "Your spirit, it's different. stronger than I expected. Even in the midst of my blood, my memories, my pain. You held yourself together. You didn't break. Her golden eyes shone brighter as she continued. You didn't just survive. You understood. You connected. You are remarkable. Kale smiled faintly, a quiet mixture of pride and humility. I didn't understand everything, he said, but I tried. I listened. I felt. That's what humans do. Even when we don't know what to expect, we step forward anyway. We survive, and sometimes we rise above even our own limits. She studied him, awe and wonder written across her delicate features. Your kind, humans, they are stronger than I ever imagined. I have seen countless beings struggle, falter, and fail, but you faced everything, the fear, the pain, the unknown, and you endured. You rose. And in doing so, you've earned my respect, Kale. Kale felt warmth fill his chest. It was not just the physical warmth of survival, but the deeper warmth of connection. He had reached across the barrier of species, of fear, of the impossible, and forged something extraordinary. For the first time, he realized that humans were capable of more than strength or cleverness. They were capable of connection, trust, and courage that could stand against anything. You didn't just survive, the Valari woman said quietly, brushing a silvery strand of hair from her face. You proved something. To me, to yourself, to the universe. Humans are more than I ever thought possible. Kale nodded, feeling a quiet pride. We've survived worse, he said softly. We've endured famine, war, betrayal, and loss. We've faced things no one else could, and we've risen every time. That's what humans do. We endure, we rise, and sometimes we inspire others to do the same. The woman's golden eyes softened further, shimmering in the early light. Then, maybe the galaxy doesn't fully understand humans yet, she said, a smile tugging at her lips. They underestimate you, underestimate your spirit. But now I see it. You are extraordinary. Kale chuckled softly, the sound light and unburdened. We've always been underestimated, he said, but that doesn't stop us. We adapt, we survive, and we rise. For a long moment, they simply sat together, the cliffs stretching endlessly before them. The wind carried the scent of distant seas and alien flora, a quiet song of the universe itself. Kale felt every pulse of the Valari woman beside him, every heartbeat, every breath, every thought. And in that moment, he understood something fundamental. Connection was as powerful as strength. Courage could outshine fear, and humans, though small in the eyes of the galaxy, could endure what others deemed impossible. The woman reached out, touching his hand with delicate silver fingers. I trust you, she said softly, and I believe. Together, we can face anything. Whatever the galaxy throws at us, whatever dangers lie ahead, we will survive. We will rise. Kale squeezed her hand gently, a smile of quiet triumph spreading across his face. We already have, he said, and will continue. Humans endure, and when we rise, we do it with courage, heart, and connection. Always. The sun rose, higher, bathing them in golden light. And in that moment, on the cliffs of Zyronine, human and Valari were no longer separate. They were united, stronger together, and ready to face whatever the universe had in store. The sun rose fully over Zyronine, flooding the cliffs with golden light. The jagged rocks, the distant seas, and the twin moons fading in the sky seemed to pause in quiet admiration. Kale stood beside the Valari woman, still feeling the pulse of her blood within him, a reminder of the night that had changed everything. They had survived the impossible together, faced danger, and crossed boundaries that neither species had ever dared approach. And now, in the soft morning glow, Kale understood something profound. Humans were not just survivors, they were capable of inspiring awe, trust, and connection across the stars. The Valari woman turned to him, golden eyes reflecting warmth and wonder. I have felt many things in my life, she said softly, her voice almost trembling. I have felt fear, anger, joy, and pain. I have felt the weight of my people, the burdens I carry, and the battles I must fight. But I have never felt this trust, this connection, like I feel with you. She reached out, her silver fingers brushing against his arm, a gesture both tender and powerful. You are human, and yet, you have shown me something no Valari has ever shown me before. Kale swallowed hard, emotion tightening his throat. I didn't do it alone, he said quietly. It's not just about being human. It's about connection, trust, courage. You trusted me. I trusted you. That's what made this possible. That's what allowed us to survive. Her eyes softened further, shimmering in the morning light. Humans, she murmured, almost to herself. You are stronger than I imagined. Fragile, yes, but in ways that matter most, unbreakable. You endure not because you have no fear, but because you rise above it. You inspire even when no one else expects it. Kale smiled, a quiet, gentle smile filled with pride and humility. We've always survived, he said. From the smallest struggles to the greatest wars, humans endure. We adapt, we rise, and we connect with those who are willing to trust. That's our strength. For a moment, they both stood in silence, letting the gentle wind of Zyronine brush against them. Kale could still feel her essence within him, the memories, the emotions, the warmth of trust and hope. And she, in turn, seemed to sense his resolve, his determination, and the quiet strength of a human who had faced the impossible and survived. I never thought a human could withstand what I carry, she admitted, voice low, almost reverent. I feared it would overwhelm you, destroy you, but you endured, you connected, you rose. Kale's hand found hers, holding it gently, a symbol of shared strength and understanding. We rise together, he said. Humans endure alone, but when we connect with others, when we trust, when we fight alongside someone, we become more than we ever thought possible. We survive, and sometimes, we inspire. Her golden eyes glimmered with emotion, tears catching the morning light. Then, the universe will never truly know what humans are capable of, she said, smiling softly. They will underestimate you. They will doubt you. And yet, you will rise anyway. You have shown me that. Kale felt a warmth spread through him, not just from the bond of her blood, but from the understanding of what it meant to be human, resilience, courage, and the unshakable drive to survive and to connect. Humans had faced the impossible countless times, and yet they always endured. And now, even on an alien world, under twin moons, their spirit had proven itself once more. The Valari woman stepped closer, her silver fingers entwining with his. Whatever comes next, she said softly, we face it together. You, human, have taught me that courage is not in strength alone, but in heart, trust, and the will to rise, even when the odds are impossible. Kale nodded, feeling the weight and beauty of her words. And you've taught me that connection is more powerful than fear, more enduring than pain. Together, we can face anything. Together, we rise. As the morning sun bathed them in golden light, human and Valari stood side by side, united by trust, courage, and a bond that transcended species. The cliffs of Zyronine stretched before them, the universe beyond vast and unknown, but they were no longer afraid. They had survived the impossible, endured the unimaginable, and discovered the truth that humans had always carried quietly in their hearts. They endure, they rise, and sometimes, they inspire even the stars themselves.